The big question: what factors led to the development and decline of the ancient Maya civilization? Chapter 3: Hidden Secrets in the Rainforest. Do you like to solve puzzles and break codes? A boy named David Stewart did. The son of archaeologists, David often accompanied his parents to the ancient Maya ruins where they worked. There, he saw sights that he had never seen before. He was particularly fascinated by the sculpted stone monuments called stelae. Often located in the central plazas of Maya cities, these giant pillars featured carvings of images and symbols. David began sketching the carvings when he was only 8 years old. One symbol looked like the head of a jaguar. Another resembled an open book. What did these glyphs, or combinations of symbols, mean? David Stewart, shown here, middle, at age 10. Stelae featured detailed carvings like these. There could be many different symbols in various combinations. Decoding an ancient language. David soon learned that archaeologists were often puzzled by these carved symbols. Many of the carvings had survived despite thousands of years of erosion by humidity, heat, and tropical storms. Still, nobody knew what these sequences of symbols meant. Some scholars suspected that the symbols were largely decorative. Others were convinced that the symbols were a form of writing. Among these scholars was a young Russian named Yuri Norosov, who began to decode or translate the hieroglyphics. His translations uncovered the true nature of the Maya writing system. Some glyphs were syllables or parts of words, while others represented whole words. They were far from being just pretty pictures. Norosov published the results of his research in 1952. Some epigraphers, people who decode and interpret ancient writing systems, were doubtful of his work. Others, including David Stewart, were eager to decode more. Today, approximately 85% of the Maya glyphs have been decoded. These glyphs help bring the ancient Maya world to life. They provide records of important dates and events, including the reigns of kings and the movement of the stars. The Maya developed a system of writing that used around 800 distinct glyphs. Scribes patiently painted symbols onto the folded bark paper of a codex. They created many of these ancient books or codices. Many codices were destroyed or have disappeared. Hieroglyphics carved in stone, however, continue to tell stories from ancient Maya city-states even today. Scribe painting glyphs on a codex. Buried treasure in the Temple of Inscriptions. Palenque, in present-day Mexico, contains one of the longest carved hieroglyphic texts yet found. Elements of Palenque's history are carved on panels that form the walls of its Temple of Inscriptions. This temple was built to honor one of Palenque's kings, King Pakal. Kiinich Janab Pakal rose to power when he was only 12 years old. He ruled Palenque for nearly 70 years. Pakal, like other Maya rulers, spent many years planning his own burial tomb. The tomb inside Palenque's famous Temple of Inscriptions lay hidden for many years. In 1948, a Mexican archaeologist named Alberto Ruz Luhilier discovered a trap door that led to the tomb. It took 4 years for Alberto Ruz Luhulier and his team to carefully clear rubble from the opening beneath the trap door. There, they discovered a stairway leading down to the king's sarcophagus, or coffin. When archaeologists opened the coffin's ornate lid, they found what is presumed to be Pakal's skeletal remains. He was buried with an abundance of jade, the Maya's most precious stone. Jade necklaces, earrings, rings, and bracelets filled the coffin. The most magnificent of all the pieces was the mosaic death mask. It was common practice in Maya culture to place masks over rulers' faces to protect them in the afterlife. Pakal's mask is spectacular. Made from hundreds of pieces of green jade, the mask features decorative pieces of shell and dark obsidian. Death Mask of K'inich Janab Pakal. From numbers to calendars and the great beyond. We know that the Maya had a written language. They also developed a number system. They used 3 symbols, a dot, a line, and a picture. The dot represented 1. The bar stood for 5. The pictorial symbol, often an oval shell, stood for 0. The Maya were among the first people to use the concept of 0. Without it, they could not have made calculations into the millions as they did. Their system of counting was used by people from different classes of society. Traders used this early form of mathematics for business. Architects used it to build pyramids. Farmers used it to plant their fields. Astronomers used mathematics to plot the heavens. Symbols for 0, 1, and 5 combined to form larger numbers. Symbols carved on stelae. Sculpted stelae stood in Maya ceremonial centers for hundreds of years. Over time, the stones had various uses and the styles changed. Archaeologists have determined that the main purpose of the stelae was to glorify kings. These stone monuments boldly portrayed a king's wealth and important deeds. Combinations of glyphs also recorded important events. The Maya used a complicated system for recording dates using the symbols for numbers. The position of a number on a stela determined how it was interpreted. The Maya symbols for numbers appear on many stelae. Priests served as astronomers and charted the skies. Ceremonial centers housed observatory buildings where astronomers could watch the stars' movements over the course of a year. The Maya thought of time as moving in cycles rather than in a straight line. Cycles in nature were important to the Maya understanding of time. They accurately predicted solar eclipses. They mapped out the orbital cycle of the planet Venus. They studied the phases of the moon. Based on their observations and their knowledge of mathematics, the Maya used 2 calendars. The solar or sun calendar contained 365.2420 days in a year. Compare that to modern-day calculations of 365.2422 days in a calendar year. Can you tell how far off the mark they were? Scientists agree that centuries-old Maya calculations are remarkably precise or accurate. Their lunar or moon calendar contained 260 days. The Maya consulted it for favorable days to plant and harvest. It was also their key to deciding the best dates for ceremonies and celebrations. Early engineers and doctors. The Mayas' many pyramids are proof of their advanced mathematical and engineering skills. Imagine building such structures without the use of wheels, pulleys, or metal tools. The Maya constructed four-sided platforms from earth and rubble to form the base of a pyramid. Then they covered the rubble with limestone from local quarries. The plentiful limestone was ground into a fine powder and mixed with gravel and water. The Maya used this mixture for both mortar and stucco finishing. The Maya had no pack animals, so they carried materials on their backs. Without the use of metal tools, they cut stone with stone. Priests had many different roles in Maya society. In addition to conducting religious ceremonies and practicing astronomy, priests served as doctors. Maya medicine was a combination of science and religion. The Maya used natural remedies or treatments. They gathered plants to relieve headaches and settle upset stomachs. They combined herbal concoctions with various animal parts to cure ailments. When wounds required stitching, priests used sharp pieces of obsidian, a volcanic stone, and strands of human hair. Priests even served as dentists, filling teeth with minerals from the earth. The end of a golden age. The golden age of the Maya came to an end between 800 and 900 CE. City-states were mostly abandoned. No more stone statues were raised to kings. Populations decreased and farmers dispersed. People of the inland rainforests left for the drier Yucatan Peninsula. One of the most advanced pre-Columbian civilizations in the Americas crumbled. Why? The change was gradual and probably resulted from a combination of things. It is possible that a lack of rainfall led to serious drought conditions. The Maya chopped down trees for additional fields and housing. This could have destroyed the ecological balance of the region. An epidemic or changing trade routes may have been partially responsible for the decline. Or, some theorize, the reason may rest with the Maya themselves. Was there a war between city-states? Did people revolt? Had the rulers become too controlling? Nobody knows for sure. Maya blue, a long-lasting color. The Maya were skilled artisans. They gathered clay to create beautiful ceramic vessels. Like the stone stelae, these decorative vases often told stories on their elaborately painted surfaces. Artists made a distinctive blue paint known as Maya blue. It comes from a beautiful indigo dye produced from the leaves of a native plant. Many other colors made with natural pigments fade over time. Maya blue is remarkable for the fact that it fades very little. Flowers from the indigo plant. Mural background painted with Maya blue. Maya cloth of today. Many modern Maya women wear colored tunics that are similar to the ones worn by their ancestors. Each community has its own distinct designs. As they did long ago, many women today still weave cloth. Some even use thread that is colored with natural dyes. Traditional tunics are sold in modern-day marketplaces. Maya designs. Maya woman weaving. At the close of the Golden Age, the remaining Maya scattered and their great civilization dwindled. Today, their descendants live in the ancestral homelands of modern-day Mexico, Belize, Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador. With the exception of Belize, where English is spoken, Spanish is the official language of the region. However, more than 21 Maya dialects are still spoken in Guatemala alone. If you visit Mesoamerica, your guide through the muggy rainforests to ancient ruins may be a descendant of the Maya. The ancient Maya were once thought to be peaceful worshippers of the stars, gods, and time. However, their decorated vessels and translated glyphs provide clues to suggest otherwise. We are still learning about these people who populated south central Mexico and parts of Central America.